Welcome to the Explainer. So, in the world of academia, there's this thing that's treated like the Holy Grail. It's called scholarly impact. It's supposed to be the ultimate proof that all those years of research and teaching were worth it. But what does it actually mean? And maybe more importantly, are we even measuring it right? Let's get into it. If you peek at the mission statements of the world's most respected universities, you see this really powerful theme pop up again and again. Just look at Yale. Their mission is to improve the world. And they're not alone. From Oxford to Peking University, the goal they state isn't just to publish papers. It's to benefit society in a real, tangible way. It's a pretty inspiring promise. And that brings us to the big, crucial question. If your goal is to change the world for the better, how do you know if you're actually succeeding? This isn't just some philosophical coffee shop debate. It is right at the heart of that whole publish or perish culture that pretty much defines academic life. The pressure is on, but what we're aiming for has always felt, well, kind of fuzzy. For the longest time, the answer was deceptively simple: citations. Impact was just a numbers game, right? A score based on how many other academics cited your work. But that old, narrow view is really starting to show its cracks. A new, much broader perspective is emerging that argues that true impact isn't just academic chatter inside an echo chamber. It's about influencing students, helping out practitioners in the field, informing policymakers, and really society as a whole. So just how narrow is that old view? Well, this number it's pretty shocking. One study found that a scholar's citation count, the gold standard metric, explains less than 3% of their mentions on websites outside of academia. Just let that sink in for a second. The traditional way we measure impact misses over 97% of a scholar's influence beyond the university walls. It's proof we've basically been looking at this whole thing through a keyhole. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start by mapping out these new dimensions of impact. Then we'll get practical and look at a playbook for universities and a roadmap for researchers. And finally, we'll tie it all together and talk about what it really means to make scholarship that actually matters. All right, Section 1, Mapping the Four Dimensions. Now, the source for today's explainer doesn't just poke holes in the old system, it actually offers a solution. It gives us a whole new model, a really clear map with 4 different pathways to making a difference. And what's so great about this model is how it elegantly breaks impact into 4 distinct areas, each with a completely different audience. All of a sudden, impact isn't this one giant, intimidating thing anymore. It's a set of 4 clear paths. And the idea isn't to just pick one, but to see how they can all connect. First up is the one we all know: theory and research. This is the classic academic playground. Your audience is other researchers, and the game is played in journals and at conferences, all measured in citations. It's about moving the scholarly conversation forward, building on what others have done. And this is absolutely vital stuff. It's the engine room of intellectual progress. The second dimension is education. Here, the audience is the student. And impact isn't measured in citations. It's measured in lasting influence. You ever have a professor or a class that just completely changed the way you see the world? That's it. That's educational impact. It's the textbook you keep for years, the mentor who sets you on a new career path. It's an impact that multiplies and ripples out for generations. Third, we step outside the ivory tower and into the world of organizations. Here, the audience is made up of practitioners, the managers, the engineers, the consultants, the people who can take academic ideas and actually use them to solve real-world problems. This is all about bridging that huge gap between theory and practice. And finally, we get to societal impact. The key players here are policymakers, legislators, government officials, the people shaping our communities. This is when years of careful research actually inform a public debate, influence a new law, or provide the evidence for policies that improve public health or protect the environment. This is scholarship doing its part for the public good. Okay, Section 2, the university's playbook. So, knowing these 4 dimensions is great, but how can universities actually encourage them? Well, this model also provides a framework for institutions to move past just talking about impact and start building a culture that really supports it. The source lays out this 5-step playbook, and it's a really logical progression. It starts with a simple question: does your budget actually reflect your mission statement? So step 1 is aligning your goals with your resources. From there, you line up your reward systems with those same goals, and that affects everything else: which journals you value, how you train your PhDs, and how you actively promote and celebrate practical, real-world knowledge. And this means making some tough choices. Take the infamous A-journal lists that pretty much rule hiring and promotion. Sure, on one hand, they set clear standards, but the downsides are huge. They can stifle innovation by rewarding safe, incremental research instead of bold new ideas. And they risk trapping brilliant scholarship inside a tiny academic circle, never to be seen by the outside world. All right, that's the view from the top. But this model is also an incredibly powerful tool for individuals. So let's shift from the administrator's office down to the person actually doing the work. This roadmap helps scholars build a career with impact that's, well, it's got layers. It's about being intentional, looking for synergies, using modern tools. But that second step introduces this really cool idea for anyone in academia, becoming an academic decathlete. So what in the world is an academic decathlete? It's someone who excels across multiple events, not just one. The paper points to Professor Tom Lee from the University of Washington as a perfect example. I mean, look at this record. He was an associate dean, a journal editor, president of a major academic association. He mentored dozens of students. And yeah, he also crushed the traditional metric with over 24,000 citations. He didn't just have an impact, he had a portfolio of impact. And this is the secret sauce right here, synergy. You don't have to tackle each dimension one by one and burn yourself out. A single, smart activity can send ripples across the whole map. You write a great textbook? Well, that has an educational impact on students, a research impact when scholars cite it, and an organizational impact when practitioners use it for training. It's about working smarter, not just harder. Okay, last section, scholarship that matters. So what's the big takeaway here? After mapping the dimensions and looking at the playbooks, what's the fundamental shift this whole model is asking us to make? It's this. We have got to stop thinking of impact as a single score, like your citation count or a journal ranking. Instead, we should see it as a diverse portfolio of contributions that we build strategically over an entire career. Maybe one year you focus heavily on research. The next, you might invest time developing a new course. It's not about being the best at everything all the time. It's about creating a rich body of work that makes a difference in more ways than one. Ultimately, this model doesn't give you the answer. It doesn't say that impacting society is better than impacting theory. What it does is give everyone, from university presidents to PhD students, a much better map of the terrain. It allows us to be more strategic, more intentional, and, in the end, create more meaningful scholarship. Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Now that you have a better map, where will you choose to go?